I've been doing this for about 25 years, and I'm Thomas Garrison. And over there on the right side of your screen is Arthur Moorhead, my co-host. He's been doing this for 18 or 20 years as well. We both do develop websites. So if anybody's looking to have a site developed, or they have parts of it they need developed, or whatever help that you need, just get in touch with us. Arthur is huge with WordPress and Elementor. So he's your expert on Elementor. I do both, but I prefer Joomla. And most people are going, what's that word he just said? And that's only because people, for whatever reason, they didn't dig into, or they haven't been told about Joomla, because most developers think, oh no, that's only for somebody who knows how to hand code. No. I have a customer who's never been into Joomla, who just barreled through and did a bunch of stuff in Joomla, like he knew what he was doing. And I've had to correct some minor things, but still, it's no more difficult than WordPress. It's just a different platform. So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, the other thing is, when you got the help, you got people like Tom and I guiding you and helping you along, with learning the process, then that makes it a lot easier too.
Yeah. And that's where we're going today. We're going to talk about the text on your page and the density, and how to figure out the density. What does that mean to you? Density in the reference to your text on a page is how many times have you repeated your keyword term on that one page. And it all has to do with, well, what's the total amount of text that you have on the page? And when you compare that to how many times that you have repeated that keyword, then it gives you a percentage of how many times it's on the page. You're looking for a maximum of 3%. Now, even last week, I think I showed you one that the guy was at 40-some% with a couple of keywords. And those were his main keywords, but he's doing a bunch of other stuff offsite SEO, driving traffic to the site. If he stopped doing that, it's going to hurt him. So he may lose his position, which is in the top 10. So we want to show how to figure out what your keyword density is. And it's actually fairly simple. And there's a bunch of different tools out there. I'm going to show you 2 or 3 of them anyway. But if you find one that you like, you're just looking to find out what's the density. You're not trying to buy anything or make sure that they're giving you specific information, because it's fairly simple. And I do see a couple of people got, Bill wants to show his, Kumba wants to show hers, and that's fine. So we can use those, and anybody else that's saying, well, can you check mine or something? We can do that. So I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to go over to the first one that I had pulled up. And you can see I was going to pick on Kevin today, but I'll grab somebody else's URL. We could look at his. And so I don't pick on him too hard. Let me see in the chat again. Oh, Kumba or whoever would like to, if you would just enter in the chat your URL, then I can go from there.
Yeah, I think Jessica was first. I think she was the first one that jumped in here.
What's the there we go. Got it. Okay, so we'll just drop that URL into here. And it does need the first part. And click. So it isn't rocket science. It's just click, and this thing's fairly quick. Oops. That's interesting.
Got a redirect?
Interesting. So we want CA, not com. There you go. All right, so let's go back here and put in. Dang. All right.
The
Guys are
WW's
making me work today.
been dropped.
Guys are making me work hard today. Doesn't like that one either. Wow, document reached maximum size. All right, so we're going to go with a different one and see if they like it. Now, this one was kind of weird. I started clicking on buttons and found out that if you just hit enter, that's what it's looking for. Go through the security check. Oh, there's one on the ground. Work cyclone. Oh, for crying out
God, I
loud.
hope that ain't an omen.
Yeah. Okay, so it's ready to go, and we're looking at Islands card. Back. These are keywords that it's finding. If you don't see your keyword that you're actually targeting in this top list, in the top keywords, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But you should see it in either 1, 2, or 3. And I guess the only thing that we're seeing, or that this particular site is seeing as far as the keywords, is Monroe, which is in there in industries. We already know that, but we don't care about that. The keyword density, let me back that up. A lot of people find it that they want to brand their website, so they want to repeat who they are in their page. Don't do that. The visitors to your site aren't going to see it of value, and the search engines don't want to see it at all. They want to see, what is this page about? And how are you going to help people? Which is basically what your text should be. So when they see the name of your business over and over, it's like, well, that's not what people are looking for. Now, I know you guys are in the midst of redoing things, so that's just one of the areas. And I also know most people are doing that same thing, going, well, let me repeat the name of my business. No, put it at the top of the page and call it good. Because that's not what you're selling. It is, but it isn't. That's not really how you want to use your text. Email, industries, nothing in a single word. So we're going to switch to 2 words on the card. The only thing we have is Monroe Industries again. How about 3 words? Boy, we're having a difficult time trying to find any keywords. Now, they admitted that they're still working on the site, so I'll give them that. But what I'm saying is that we really don't see any keyword terms on the page that are telling or explaining or are extremely relevant to what this business does. So far, we know that it's Monroe Industries, but I haven't seen anything that's telling me, what do they do? I mean, we could all go to the page and see, well, let's see, here's what they do. Let me try to figure it out. That's why they're having a hard time. This is the main page, but it doesn't say anything about what they do. Now, Monroe Industries, don't get upset that we're picking on you, because you're not alone. I would bet most of the people in our meeting today are kind of going, well, I did the same thing and I don't have much text on my page. So that's the first thing that you want to change. Your homework is get some content on this page. And of course, we've got the cookie thing. We'll accept that just to get it out of the way. And Google 5-star review. For Jessica has a hand raised, so let me stop sharing for a minute. Okay, Jessica, go ahead. After I ask you to unmute.
Actually, it's Chad here. So when we looked at what our back end was, we've actually got probably a 4,000 word document that's attached to that page or allegedly attached. So I think there's a navigation, or not necessarily a navigation, but a misplaced effort attached to this. Now, each one
Yeah, breaks it
page
up.
goes to its own home page from there.
We're catching about every 10th word.
That's gonna be, I guess, part of what our problem is. From the standard issued web page where somebody has, let's say, a targeted audience on garage and fabrication type products or services, or tools and materials, or printing and sublimation type surfaces. So
Time out.
that might be kind of what you're seeing on this end.
We all heard the last two sentences clearly. Prior to that, we were getting about every 10th word. And I was thinking that there was going to be a lull where I could say, hey, we can't hear you. But now that it seems like your connection picked up. But what I'm gathering is that there's text that's in the back end somewhere, but it's not appearing here. Is that what you were trying to say?
He's losing his connection.
Yeah, I guess we lost the connection altogether. Okay, so let's check a different one while they figure out some. You still have the hand raised, and let's try it again. Can you see if you guys are still with us?
Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I was losing the connection there. But yeah, basically, you're spot on. There's a bunch of navigation in the backside that obviously isn't allocating the text to where it should be going, and there's about a 4,000 word document attached to that home page. Now, I'm actually kind of shocked that it's not picking any of that up. I understand the headings, because we're having issues allocating the H1 heading through the Shopify platform for some odd reason. And it's only picking it up every once in a while and not necessarily on the homepage. So.
And I didn't look for it.
Well, the product headings are in span tags for one thing.
I see it's in the code as far as the markup, the CSS, but I don't see it used anywhere. Well, I can nip this in the bud and just look. I can see by just looking at it, there's not an H1 tag on this page. Because there's no text, so there's just a little bit, but.
Right, that's what
I'm not that familiar with uploading a text file and having that text appear someplace within Shopify. Aren't you writing the text on the page itself?
Correct. And in a lot of these cases, our SEO scores, we were chasing the SEO side of it, and we were getting higher scores in the high 80s, low 90s, utilizing, let's say, for example, here, the garage and fab portion. If we just assigned our actual page name and title, we got a far higher score than if we actually said, hey, here's our name, our title, and what we do. We had basically a little paragraph about every single one of these headings. So let's say automotive and industrial glass, so we give a quick little blurb. We maxed out at about 500 words, I think, on it for the whole page. And we were at like a 50% SEO score. as opposed to just putting the name and title. And it actually appeared from our end when we made those necessary changes. We kind of did it on a blanket style as opposed to just kind of testing it out. And we noticed an increase in our actual call traffic and whatnot. So we're not sure if it actually started picking something up on the Google side or if it just happened to be luck of the draw. But it did seem to make a big change about 3 weeks after we made that change. And we did something similar in testing where we changed 2 pages, seen an increase of interest on those 2 particular pages. And that's why we decided to move forward this way.
How are you tracking this?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going.
Some of it's through the, what is it called? SEO Check app for mobile devices. And then there's also the, I think it's called, it's not Google Analytics. It's, there's another, no, it's Page Insights, which I think is affiliated with Google at some point. And they give us a little bit of feedback, which is kind of hit and miss.
When you use PageSpeed Insights, the one thing that you want to remember, among a bunch of things, but one of the most important things is when this finishes, I'm going to show you here in just a second. So if this is the test that you did in referencing about your SEO, this is not really telling you whether your SEO is good, bad, or indifferent on the page. What this means, the SEO portion simply means you have complied with the mandates of should this be there or should that be there.
Yeah, it's technical. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all technical stuff. It's, you got it in the document and blah, blah, blah. But it's not even going to tell you if you have text on the page. So the SEO that you want to know about is, if I've got text on the page, how good is this SEO on that text? That's not what this test is telling you. This test is going, I don't know, because that's not what this platform is for. Does that make sense?
Let me jump in here real quick, Tom.
Go ahead.
See, Google Search Console has started a new product called Insight. And what he's referring to is you get your reports from Google that says, that's part of Insight. And when you click on Insight, it shows you what pages are getting clicked on and everything. Is that what you're referring to?
That's correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
That's why we decided to move forward the way we did. And unfortunately, it doesn't go with conventional methods, but I don't know if we're staying on top of things or if we're just shooting ourselves in the foot at this moment.
Staying
And
on
you're
the platform, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So you're right to seriously consider moving.
And this is a Shopify platform?
That's correct. Yeah. And
Okay.
we have fought tooth and nail. I mean, if you compare our mobile with our desktop performance in that, it's like night and day difference. And yet even our developer says this is normal. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place with where to go.
Your developer is saying this is normal. That's not necessarily wrong, because so many people have developed a website that they go, this is a way cool website. Yes, now you start breaking that down and go, well, you've got this many images on the one page and they're huge, so that's slowing it down. When it comes to mobile devices, you can't expect a mobile device to wait for all these huge images to load. So it needs to either be, well, here's a completely different site that's made just for mobile devices, which you can do that. And I know a few companies that do, but Google would rather that you use one website and make it work for mobile and desktop.
Correct. Yeah.
What you're trying to do is make sure that you minimize the size of the images so that mobile devices can see that same image. And it also then has to be aspect ratio correct so that it reduces the size and it doesn't take away any part of the image. If the aspect ratio is correct, then that's what happens. If the aspect ratio is off, then it can cut off the sides or the top or the bottom or something as it resizes.
And for the most part, we've just been going with the recommended sizes from the actual developer as to what to use
Yeah.
in their respective channels. So let's say
Yeah.
you got the collection list here with the Miss Jessie's logo, or you've got the banner up at the top. They're sized according to what their recommendations were,
Mhm.
and obviously that's not helping us any.
No,
Yeah, but you're basically at the mercy of Shopify servers. You know, so when your developer said that's a norm, you know, he's probably referring to being Shopify servers. You know, because there really isn't a lot you can do, you know, when it comes to using these types of websites. If you had your own website, then, you know, you'd have more control over it. You'd be able to do more on your SEO performance and everything. But because
Now,
you're at the, go ahead.
with that being said, we've definitely talked and considered those options just because it gives us the greater opportunity to do whatever we want as required. Is there a do-it-yourself builder for those kind of options? Where do you even go for the hardware on that kind of stuff, and who do you even talk to?
Not really. I mean, you could go to Wix, you could go to any of them, and you're just going from one controlled situation to another.
one problem to another.
Yeah,
I'm talking if we bought our own servers and that kind of thing. Like I remember back when I was in high school, they had their own servers and technicians that would come in, but we had our full-time computer teacher that basically he was their IT department as well. So I don't know if you need a full-time IT department to operate something like that and, you know, do it all through HTML coding, or how do we go about that?
No, what you're doing, you're going to be pushing a huge rock up a hill on most platforms because you have, what's the total number of products?
About 35 million plus.
yeah, I would say you're gonna probably need your own server, a virtual VPN type of hosting. And you're gonna have to have a lot of disk space.
Stepping
Here's-
stones, my friend. My budget's only so big and I got butterflies flying out of my
Yes.
wallet.
And here's what I am suggesting. Get in touch with us after the meeting because I can throw around some ideas. I'm working on a site that's all about keys, it's the key blanks. And
Yeah.
we're going back to vehicles back in 1903 all the way up to today. So he too has a couple thousand products, maybe not nearly what you do. But I've got him on a Joomla platform.
Okay.
And I can tell you more about that if you get in touch with us after. And
Absolutely.
eventually what you would use is a dedicated server. That's
Sounds
your
good.
server. Nobody else can be on it. You can get one that's managed so you don't have to know anything technical. Just build the site and use it.
That would be awesome. Like I said, I just have no idea where to even start looking for that kind of stuff, as it's
Well,
an option we considered before, but
Yeah,
we know nothing about it. So
get in touch after the meeting. We can go through all that stuff and
sounds good, guys. I
start
appreciate that.
looking at
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move back to keyword density and anybody who's got something in the chat who wanted to take a look. Jen Simons, not like Gene Simmons. Let's see what hers looks like. Pineapples and palm trees. Let's get rid of this.
I have a couple of sites up, links up there.
Okay, so this one is pretty fast, which is kind of why I liked it in the first place. And you can see it, you can select 1 through 4 keyword terms and see what's going on. Usually I just kind of bypass the 1, give it a quick overview. It's there.
Yeah.
And then I start with 2 keyword phrases. Now, let's see for a second. I need to stop that share because.
Yeah, what these tools do is they find the most common used word on in your document. And that's what it's picking up as a keyword.
Mhm.
So when you see 12 times the 2-word phrase, then that is the word they're considering to be the keyword.
Hope everybody understood that part. And when you get into 2, it's a little easier to see. It's repeated this many times. And here's the
Yeah.
density, which is 1.6. Jen, what's one of the keyword terms that you're trying to target?
Herein lies the drama. Since COVID, I've had to change everything. So some of these keywords that I'm seeing, Paisley Ray, paparazzi jewelry, poppy clips, all this stuff is stuff I'm trying to offload and be done with it because that's more on the MLM side of things. And so now I'm looking for garden stakes, greeting cards. That's more of what I need. I need those to rank higher than the others.
So this is your site or it's an MLM site?
No, it's my site. Stop it. Out of there.
Okay. Is that a WordPress site?
Shopify.
Yeah,
Shopify.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't look like WordPress, but well, in Shopify, you do have marketing. In your marketing area, there should be a place where you can enter your keywords,
Okay.
you know, and you'll see it. I know on Squarespace, it's called marketing. I'm not quite sure what it is under Shopify, but there will be a place to where you can enter your keywords.
Okay.
I'm checking to see if you've got an H1 tag on the page. So far, I haven't seen one. They're all H2.
From what I understand, when you get into products, the title is the H1, but on the home page, I could not tell you. It's a lot of it is just fill in the blank and it's already kind of preset.
Yeah.
So if you know how to do coding, which I don't. I don't know that it can be changed. I mean, I'm sure it can be changed. I just don't know how to code and do all that. So you can see down here where it says retiring collections, those are all the keywords that were popping up on that other site. And this is the stuff I'm trying to get rid of. So I'm down to the almost done with it.
What keyword terms are you hoping to?
Garden stakes, greeting cards, handmade.
Well,
I'm looking at what's already on the list here.
none of those seem to be in there.
Greeting
No.
cards was there.
Cards. Greeting
Cards,
cards, yep.
cards.
Yeah. Greeting cards is at 0.9%. So if you added greeting cards within your content a few more times,
Okay,
that'll bring it up closer to the top. Because see, right now you have Paisley Ray 7 times on that page. So if you take greeting cards and within the content, it has to make sense though. It has to be natural. And if you take greeting cards and you add it 3 more times within your content, then that's going to move it up. You know,
gotcha.
and
And this
then-
checks the entire website. So if I did a blog post about Paisley Ray, it's pulling from that as well.
No,
Right.
this is one page at a time.
Oh, one page,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then the other thing is you got to have prominence. And the prominence is how close your keyword is to the beginning of the title or beginning of a paragraph.
Or sentence.
Okay.
So your positioning of your keyword phrase is also important.
Now,
Okay,
what I just did was grab some text because I want you guys to also see that with this site and any of these 3 that I tested, you can either use a URL input or you can literally drop in the text from the page and check it that way. Now that's going to change the density because I only grabbed a certain amount of text. I didn't grab everything on the page. But you can see what she has. New products is a 3.1. That's not a keyword term she cares about, so that's fine. Everything else is 1.6. So in
Yeah.
that sentence or in that area, which is right here. Okay, so that's 1.6, but you do want to have all the text on the page. So if it was me, I would grab all the text that I have on that page and then dump it into here.
Okay,
Or, like I say, just use the URL, and that is grabbing it, and then go back here and check again. So it's taking all the text and telling you what it is. But as far as the site itself, whatever keywords that you want need to be typed into the page.
okay.
I think that you've got plenty of room, and you could have a bit more, but it just depends on what you're trying to do. And it also depends on what you're doing on the other pages. Let me
Mhm.
move this bar out of the way so I can see something else. I'm trying to find your menu.
It's at the top.
Well, home about, oh, the shop. Okay. I
Uh-huh.
gotcha. So your greeting cards, gift cards, and that's what you're moving to, is just basically greeting cards?
It's basically handmade products. So with the greeting cards, you can see if you go down, it says greeting cards, then I've got gift card holders, which are specific items that some people are looking for. Then I have various paper craft. So a lot of this is stuff that I do at vendor events. And then I've got, obviously some of it up here. And then garnered steaks, I'm giving that a whirl to see how that does. So just moving away from the whole MLM thing, trying to do more handmade items.
What I was looking at is if you go to a page, which I've just done, there's no text
Uh-huh.
page.
Say
Let me
say
back
that
up.
again, it broke.
Well, let me back up and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The home page generally is usually about a bunch of things. So if I go back to here to the home page, it's handmade greeting cards, paper crafts, garden stakes, what our fans are saying, retiring collections. Doesn't make any difference what you're doing. This is, and I'm talking kind of like a search engine. This is what's on the page. And for everybody, I want you to understand that your homepage most likely will be similar to this in that you've got several subjects on that page. That's not a page that's helpful to get into a high-ranking SEO position. One subject from one page is what's going to really help you in the search engines. The more subjects that you have on a page, the more difficult it becomes to apply good SEO because you've got several different subjects. A page should be about one subject. If you do a test to see whether I'm lying to you or not, you can go to the search engines and search whatever that you want. It doesn't make any difference. In the search results, you'll find that you probably won't see any of those results lead you to a homepage of a website. Everybody get that as I'm looking over here at everybody? You're kind of going, what? Don't try to think that your homepage is what's going to get to the top of the search engines. It's exactly the opposite. It's a page, internal page of the website that is about one subject that, if done properly, that's the one that's going to get to the top of the search engines. It's about one thing. SEO is all about one subject, not 10, not 3, not even 2. You might be able to get a decent rank out of 2, but you're going to have to do some homework and do a lot of work on that site. So what I usually try to get across to people is make the homepage inviting, and it tells people about what's there. But each page of your site, each internal page, that's where all of the really good SEO is done. That's where
Okay.
people land usually. So you can say that your landing pages are your internal pages. Homepage, not usually the landing page. So you want to get that SEO. And in this case, because you've got several things going on, when you go to garden stakes and look at fairy wands, that's where you want to have a lot of text talking about the fairy wands or whatever is on the page. Because I see that you've got two different things. This is garden stake collection, but I used the link that said fairy wands to get here. So you want to watch that because it's all about SEO, and you have to think about, okay, so this says blah, blah, and it's taking me to this page. Are they related? Don't assume that the search engines are assuming they are related. They're not. If it says turtles and it takes me to a page of airplanes, they are not related. I don't care if you have a plane that looks like a turtle. These are planes. Doesn't make a difference what they look like. How did you get there? Well, I clicked on a turtle thing. What? So make sure that what you're doing for SEO, when you connect things, they are related. So when you click on something, the thing that I clicked on was fairy wands. That should say garden stakes.
Yeah, I struggled early on because I was doing garden stake / fairy wands or vice versa. And I couldn't, everything that I had seen and already looked up used both terms. And I thought, crap, I don't know which way I'm going to go with this. So anyhow, I had it both for a while, and that's one that I completely missed. So good catch. I will fix that one. But yeah, I'm going to just go with garden stakes.
And you have them both here in the
Mhm.
content, which is very little content. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. But
Yeah, that needs to
how
be
many
fixed.
people
Easy
search
fix.
garden stakes and how many people search fairy wands?
I don't know the numbers,
Okay.
but it turns out in the long run, garden stakes are what I'm going for. Fairy wands, it's what a lot of people call them. But
Mhm.
I think with fairy wands, I think a lot of people assume children's toys.
Yeah, I can
That's
get
not
that.
what
And
this
I
is. It's not-
understand where you're coming from too. I understand completely. But this is
Mhm.
for everybody.
Right.
When you have a keyword term, don't just say, I know my business, this is the right keyword term.
Mhm.
That has nothing to do with SEO. What you know about your business, you need to throw that out. Only because you get so stuck in, I know my business, I know this needs to be this way, this needs to be that way. You have to back up and say, I don't know anything about my business, and begin by researching those keyword terms. How many people search? And you were honest enough, Jen, and you said you don't know. That's what you need to do first. Before you can
Okay.
apply any SEO, you have to know that the terms that you are targeting are literally searched by a lot of people.
Okay.
If there are 2 people a month who search that term, don't use that term. If there are 100 people a month, okay, and you're doing local searches, that's a different story. And I'm also going to plug this in. And I know we're kind of getting away from the density, but still, this is all related. You've got to have the keyword terms researched, know what they are, make a list, and know what they are for each page. Are you trying to get into local searches or national searches? And I'm going to cut you off, because if you try to get into a national search, you are really battling a situation that you may never attain any great revenue or traffic.
Right.
Target local searches, even if you do
And that is what
business
I want.
nationally. Even if you do business nationally, it doesn't make any difference. It's easier to get your SEO done so you can get into a local search. At the top of a local search, if you do well, that
Okay.
leads you to be able to go national. But you've got to start someplace, which means get in the search engines, get into the local. So like with Kevin's site, he works around the San Francisco area, and Fremont, Santa Clara, those are counties that are where he does a lot of his business. So when he says, this is my keyword Alameda, then that helps him get into the local search results. That's what you
Okay.
want to do. And he is in the local search results. Target that first before you try to go around the world. That is
So I'm
extremely
gonna,
difficult. Go ahead.
so, because that's a little bit different than what I'm familiar with, so, and I'm hugely, I'm learning so much. So I want to use keyword terms that are specific to my area. Because
No,
I got confused about how do I know if I'm trying to use keyword terms, local versus national, which, I mean, I sell national and that's not a big deal, but I'd rather be more well-known here than anywhere. So I use like my city, town, those keyword terms.
Have you, well, we just want to add your location into your content. You know,
Gotcha,
like
okay.
where you're from, yeah, just add your content. I did a search for Paisley Ray clothing
Uh-huh,
and you're on page 1, position 1,
okay.
you
Yay.
know, so, I mean, that's great. I
That's great,
mean,
except they went out of business, so it's like,
yeah, I mean, you know, I did the search and I looked and then the reason why I use that keyword is because there's another tool that we use that's called SEO Checker.
okay,
And you can use, you know, that tool will give you information, you know, your keyword information too. And
okay,
and the 3-word Paisley Ray clothing was your most common used keyword on that page, on your homepage,
okay.
for according to that tool. And I used
Gotcha.
that phrase and I searched generically, and you're at page 1, position 1. So you're doing great for that keyword phrase.
So I'm at least on the right track.
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah.
term?
Just got a lot of work to do.
Paisley, what was it again?
Paisley Ray.
Ray, yeah, Paisley Ray clothing.
Okay, so let me ask this. Is that something that you're still gonna do, or is that something that you're getting?
It's in the, what do I have? Retiring collections. So it's the first one there, Paisley Ray clothing.
Okay, so this brings up another part of the subject, folks, but this
Mhm.
is a serious situation. You're retiring Paisley Ray, yet it's on page 1. How are you going to use that to your best advantage if you just throw it away? Because if you just throw it away, you lose the position of being on page 1.
All right.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Okay, Paisley Ray is going away, correct?
Right, because the brand went out of business. So I'm just trying to offload the last chunk of clothing that I
Yeah.
have that just needs to go.
When you throw that away, you no longer have a page that's in page 1.
Gotcha.
So that's gone.
Hmm.
So Paisley Ray is doing well in the search engines because of what you had. Unfortunately,
Right.
you're now getting rid of that. So there's a page that's going to go away.
Uh-huh.
If there was a way, but I have to really sit and think a lot, and Arthur may come up with something. I don't know. But if you got a particular subject on that page, and that
Mhm.
subject matter is changing completely, then you're now having to start the SEO all over again. You
Right.
lose that position. That page is just not going to be there anymore in that search result.
Mhm.
So
So
you can take Paisley Ray clothing and just kind of use another keyword phrase that you want to focus on. Keep Paisley Ray in there, but just lower the density. And then
Well,
once you decide on the keyword you want to rank for that page, you just increase the density of that one. And of course, the prominence.
so I guess where my brain isn't quite connecting with you guys is that since Paisley Ray is a retired brand, it's been gone for a couple of years. So virtually nobody is searching for Paisley Ray.
Oh,
I
correct.
mean, nobody. So
Yeah, I
I
didn't
guess
know
in my
that.
brain, I'm thinking if I'm at the top of the list for Paisley Ray, doesn't really, I mean, right now it's
Means nothing.
fine for the
Well, you
5
could
people on
be,
Earth.
yeah, you could be ranking for other keywords and not just that one alone. I mean, I was just
Okay.
using that as an example, you know, so
Gotcha.
like,
Okay.
pineapples and palm trees. I mean, not many people are going to be searching for pineapples and palm trees, but I can't see your website at the moment.
Mhm.
But the thing is, you are ranking. You know,
Okay,
and
What,
what are
what,
some of,
what we're suggesting is if there is a way to use different keyword terms in the pages that are ranking well,
uh-huh.
then use those. I can't think of one for Paisley Ray at this point, unless you're selling some other clothing. Then use that Paisley Ray page as is by pulling out the Paisley Ray information and putting in a different one.
Would it be useful to go back to that page and say, you know, while this brand is retired and no longer will be available after everything's gone, whatever, I can zhuzh it up and make it sound good.
Mhm.
But we now offer greeting
Yes.
cards, garden
Mhm.
stakes, blah, 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 and throw that in there?
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay, I got
Yeah.
you now.
you direct
Now it
them
all goes
towards,
together.
yeah, direct them to another product, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So save that page. That's anytime that anybody, and we're not just talking for Jen, this is all of you. If you have a page that's doing fairly well or excellent, don't mess with that page until you have a really good plan of how you're going to make changes to that page. In Jen's case, the page is just plain sitting there in limbo because nobody's searching that, but it's at the top of the search engines. So the density and the SEO on that page was done pretty well. Look at that page, go through it, inspect that page, how it was created. You want to keep it that way, just change the keywords and then read the text to make sure that it still reads correctly, reads well, like natural text.
Okay,
And then put that page back into play. So you can see how well that does in the search engines. But when you change stuff on a page that's doing well, you just lose that. So it's important before you make changes on a page that's doing well in the search engines, go in and look to see what you're going to change and where. Think hard and long before you make those changes.
Yeah, Marinella, she makes a good point in the chat. She says you may still have potential customers who are in the vintage items, and she just suggests writing a blog post. And mentioning Paisley. She had her hand raised, and I just didn't want to, not comment about that because
Yeah.
she's right.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Even though it's you're going to change the page, you can write something like a blog about it.
okay.
So that
The idea is that you're ranking already for that keyword phrase. You want to keep that going.
Mhm.
And what Marinella is saying, am I pronouncing that right? Marinella. But you create a blog post and like she said, suggesting your viewers and alternate brands exactly, and that's exactly what you want to do. You just don't want to eliminate it,
Gotcha.
because you're getting traffic from it, and you will continue to get traffic just because the line is not there anymore. I mean, I've got blog posts that I've written for my art business from 12, 15 years ago that are still ranking on page one,
Okay.
and it's because, the age, how old the website is, and even though it's old stuff, it'll still show up, and as long as you keep your stuff updating, then Google, it'll keep ranking. So,
Okay.
And Jim put in something in the chat that is right. I gave some real basic. When I said my local would be my business, my city. So in other words, your keyword term and the city. National is just a keyword term.
Gotcha.
So Jim had a working example that he created for a local electrician. Allentown-electrician. Obviously, he's in Allentown. Obviously, he's an electrician. So great. And of course, that is a subsequent page. It's an internal page, not the home page. And that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, there's some good information there in the chat, some good points. You know,
Very good points. And folks, in case you want to, just go all the way to the bottom and click on the three dots all the way at the bottom of chat, and you'll see save chat. Oftentimes there are links and there are things that people have responded to. You can save that chat. And it saves that fast. So you can go back and look at what people said and go, oh, that's right. So there's a bunch of information usually in our meetings that you can refer to later.
Okay.
Now, back to Checker. Questions on the density, because I know that's really something that that's why we're here. You really want to know density. Jessica, you got your hand raised. I better stop sharing and go ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Actually, Chad, now.
Oh, I can't talk
what
to
is the-
Chad. I can only talk to
It's all
Jessica.
good. It's all good. I'll go by either one for now. What is the difference between keyword density and keyword stuffing? Where are we drawing that fine line?
Keyword density and keyword what?
Stuffing.
stuffing.
Oh, you said it too many times. Let's say your density, which we've said is about 3% maximum. Try to keep it a little bit below that.
When it
Let's
just
say
sounds
that your
natural,
density
basically.
is 5 or 10. No, you're going to get yourself in trouble, because if you start reaching that 5%, 8%, 10%, you're probably going to be considered stuffing. Now, if you want to have the keyword repeated that many times, you need to add more content on the page, more text. The more text you have, the more times you can repeat your keyword term. But it does all need to be conversational text. In other words, conversational text is just like we have been having today in this group. But
Yeah.
a lot of times what you see on a page is, well, this is my business and I do this. I've been doing it for 30 years. Nobody wants to read that.
Yeah, stuffing keywords is taking a bunch of keywords and just continually using them over and over in the page. You know, you can have 10 keyword phrases, and if you're just stuffing them, I mean, just like it sounds, if you're using it 20 times each keyword on a 500-word post, you know, that's keyword stuffing. You know, I mean, years ago, you used to be able just to enter your keywords in your meta tags, and people will just take every single keyword phrase that they could think of that is related to whatever word they're trying to rank for. And, you know, Google, you know, it doesn't like it. It'll penalize you. You know, I mean, now the keyword meta tags are not even looked at as a ranking thing, but there is still such a thing as keyword stuffing. You know, so 10 keywords used multiple times in a page just to use it, that's keyword stuffing.
Think of keyword stuffing as keyword stuffing is like I'm talking keyword stuffing is I'm talking to keyword stuffing, and that's what I'm trying to finish my sentence is keyword stuffing, but I'm not quite finished telling you about keyword stuffing. That's keyword stuffing because you keep repeating it and there's absolutely no reason to repeat that over and over.
There's no context behind it.
It doesn't work for the search engines, and it most certainly does not work for the people reading it. Ultimately, your text should be very inviting. It will answer questions for people about your business and what you can do for them, how you're going to help them. And repeating that keyword term over and over is not helping anybody. So you definitely do not want to do that. And don't put it in your keyword, in your alt tags, unless it makes sense. So let's just take your Monroe Industries image that's on your page. If you, what's the main keyword term that you're using?
For that particular image, it would be
And-
like home, space bar, space Monroe Industries, and then probably just the size of the image is how that particular image would be. So if I had like a fuel tank, it would be like horizontal fuel tank, bar, Monroe Industries, Rogue Fuel, and then the size of the image.
Don't be afraid to actually put a small sentence in there.
Okay.
Our Monroe Industries logo. Our fuel tank. Because it's a picture of a fuel tank.
Yep.
Or we sell quality fuel tanks or something like that. So fuel tank is your keyword, but you're telling what that picture is about. If you're not telling what that picture is about with your alt tag, you're not using the alt tag properly. And that's not going to help you, and it can hurt you.
And a lot of times we would try to move forward with like a part number or something, so that chances are that's probably what's going to be searched. That's
Here-
what we were trying to get it inserted as.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't purposely use the image as a place to put a keyword term, hoping that that's going to help. The alt tag is alternative text. That's what ALT stands for. It was created for sight impaired people. So when they use their reader, it's a machine that literally reads everything from a page on a website to that person. When they're listening, because they can't see the stuff, they'll come down to an image that says product ID number 220. They're going, what? So they just kind of go, I don't get it. So keep that in mind, because the people and the search engines do the exact same thing. The bots that come in, they read it like a reader for hearing impaired people. So they're going to look at that text. If it has the ID for that particular product, they're going to say, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it's not helping. If it's not helping the page, it's hurting it. Do something with that image that tells people this is what it's about, and make sure that you can reference that image about how it is related to that page. In other words, if you've got a picture, I've used this example several times, picture of a mountain, and you sell trains. What does that mountain have to do with your trains? So in your alt tag, if you said, we took a tour on a train through the Alps. Now that image it makes sense to be on the page. But if you don't say anything like that, then you're not referencing that image correctly. So you can get in trouble for that. And that goes back to your keyword density, because even in your alt tag, that's going to be considered. So if you use it correctly, it will help. If you use it wrong, it can be the kiss of death. And your text. Trying to wind this up, but I want to make sure that you understand that the text on the page needs to be conversational. Don't make it dry. And I will honestly tell you that most people find it very difficult to have a conversation with people they don't know, which is exactly what you're doing for a website page and thinking of the visitors that are coming to the page. You have to stop and tell yourself, I'm either talking to a really good friend of mine, or my mate, or my child, or somebody that I can relax and allow myself to come out and just talk to them. Conversational text with somebody you're comfortable with talking. That's the same text that needs to be on the page. It's not going to be easy, but if you don't do that, the search engines can tell. And they'll go, well, that text, it's there, kind of describes the page, but it sucks because you're not really talking to the people. And I would suggest that you write that text first before trying to implement any keyword terms. If you are really good at talking, and in fact, one of the best ways, we had somebody tell us about a year ago, a good option is to have the conversation with a friend, or even if you're very comfortable just sitting in a room talking to yourself, you can do that too. Record the conversation. Then you can go back and listen to it and transcribe the conversation. But you're looking for maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the conversation when you have forgotten that you're recording. You've forgotten what you're supposed to do, and you're just talking to somebody. That's the kind of conversation text that you want. Make it sound like you are really inviting, like you're just sitting in your home, having a nice conversation, maybe a cup of coffee with somebody and just yickety, yickety, yickety. That's the kind of text that you want on the page. Now pepper in those keyword terms. You've got the people that came to the page and they immediately started relaxing because they see this relaxed conversational text. Drop in the keywords, check your density, and you're good to go. And as Arthur said early in the meeting, move your keywords as close to the beginning of a sentence or paragraph as you can. That's prominence.
I gotta go.
Go ahead. Oh, you were waving at somebody? I thought you were waving.
No, I gotta go. I got a meeting I'm late for right
Oh,
now.
go ahead. Thanks, Arthur. Anybody else? And any questions? We'll wrap it up. So if you have to go, you can go. Or if you've got a couple of questions, I'm willing to stay and answer them.